I don't even know where to start, honestly. My name's Mike, and for a long time I thought I had a pretty normal life, married to Lisa, who's smart, beautiful, a little bitchy at times, but I always thought that was just her personality. We have a kid on the way, and everything was supposed to be perfect. I worked a lot, especially lately, traveling for work, trying to get a promotion or whatever. But I kept noticing small, weird things about Lisa. She was more secretive, hiding her phone more than usual, deleting messages, and giving me these half-assed lies about where she's been or who she's been talking to. I shrugged it off at first, thinking maybe I was just paranoid or stressed about the baby. But then, little signs started piling up. It was a week ago that I had to go out of town for a few days, just a quick work trip. I remember packing my bag and giving Lisa a kiss, telling her I'd be back soon. She was busy with something on her phone, her eyes darting away when I looked. That should have been my first clue, but I was too caught up in trying to keep everything normal. I left, and barely a day later I started getting these strange messages from her. Nothing explicit, just weird texts at odd times. Miss you, in a way I knew wasn't about me, I guess. I brushed it off, told myself I was being paranoid. But then I started noticing her acting different around me. She was colder, less engaged, and when I'd try to get her to talk about her day, she'd deflect or get bitchy about how I was always working and ignoring her needs. What really got me suspicious was the way she'd suddenly become obsessed with her phone, always on it, hiding it when I came close. And she'd lie about where she was going or who she was talking to. I'm not stupid. I knew she was hiding something. I just didn't want to admit it. The thing that pushed me over the edge was discovering a text message from her phone, saved under a random contact, that said something like, "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe. Just a little longer." My stomach sank. I pulled her phone out of her purse one night and there it was. She'd been messaging this guy Mark, her supposed friend, but I could tell from the tone they'd been doing more than just talking. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I mean, I saw the messages, the pictures she'd sent, nothing explicit but enough to know this was serious. For months, she'd been lying to me, hiding this behind my back while I was out providing for her and our kid. The worst part, she lied through her teeth when I confronted her about it. Said I was paranoid, that it was just sex talk, that I was imagining things, but I saw the evidence. I saw her hiding her phone, sneaking around and lying about where she was. It was all right there in front of me. I felt like I'd been played for a fool, like she never loved me at all. So now I'm stuck in this mess. Do I blow everything up or do I try to salvage whatever's left? Honestly, I don't even know if I want to keep pretending I was loved. All I see now are the lies, the betrayal, and this sinking feeling of being used. I keep asking myself how. I missed all the signs, how I didn't see the cracks earlier. Maybe I was just too blind, or maybe I wanted to believe in her so much that I ignored the truth. Whatever the case, I've decided I need to confront her again, figure out what's really going on, and decide what I want to do next. Because I can't keep living in this fog of doubt and betrayal. I deserve better than this, right? The confrontation didn't happen right away. I needed some time to process everything, to figure out what I even wanted to say or do. My mind was racing in every direction: anger, sadness, disbelief. Honestly, I felt numb most of the time, like I was just going through the motions. But the thing is, I couldn't ignore it anymore. I knew I had to face her, confront her about the truth I'd uncovered. So I waited until the weekend, when she was supposed to be at her sister's house, visiting family or whatever she claimed. I planned to catch her off guard, to see her reaction firsthand. When she came home that night, she was acting normal, too normal maybe. Smiling, acting like everything was fine. Like she hadn't just been caught in a lie. I greeted her with a calm but firm tone, told her I knew about her affair with Mark. Her face flickered with surprise for a moment, then her bitchy side kicked in. She rolled her eyes, the typical Lisa attitude, like I was the one overreacting. She said seriously, "Are you kidding me right now? You're crazy, Mike. You always think the worst." But I wasn't buying her act anymore. I laid out the messages, the photos I found, and asked her to explain herself. She started with the usual bullshit, denied everything, said it was all just sex talk, that Mark was just a friend, that I was jealous and paranoid. She looked me right in the eyes and lied through her teeth. There's nothing going on. You're just insecure, probably stressed about the baby," she snapped. But I knew better. I saw her squirm, her eyes darting, the way she refused to look at me directly. That moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, pure rage. How could she lie so easily? How could she pretend she loved me, and then do this behind my back? I kept pressing her, and she kept spinning her web of lies. Said she was just bored, that Mark was someone she'd known since college, and they'd just been talking. "It's not what you think," she kept insisting. But I could see her eyes, that little flicker of guilt. She was lying, and I knew it. The more she denied it, the more I realized this wasn't just about a fling. It was about respect, trust, something she had shattered completely. I felt like I was losing my mind, trying to hold on to whatever was left of our marriage, but deep down, I knew I was already losing it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I replayed everything over and over, her lies, her dismissive attitude, the way she was so quick to deny the obvious. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and more than anything, I felt hurt. How could she do this to me? To our family? I'd been working my ass off to give her everything, to make a good life for us, and this is how she repaid me. I kept asking myself if I ever truly loved her, or if I was just fooling myself into believing this was real. I was angry, but beneath all that anger, there was this deep, aching sadness. I thought about the baby on the way, how this was supposed to be a fresh start, and now I wasn't sure I even knew her anymore. The thing that hit me hardest was how smoothly she lied, how easily she played the innocent victim when I was the one who found out. She's always been good at hiding her true self behind that bitchy mask, but now I saw her for what she really is, a liar, a manipulator, someone who's been cheating for months, even during my pregnancy. I think that's what hurts the most, that she kept this secret from me, that she hid her affair with Mark while she was supposed to be building a life with me. Honestly, I don't know what she thought she was doing, but she broke something inside me that I don't think I can ever get back. After that night, everything changed. I knew I couldn't keep pretending like nothing was wrong. I started thinking about what to do next, but honestly, I felt lost. Part of me wanted to just pack up and leave, cut my losses and get out before it got even worse. But another part, this stubborn, stupid part, wanted to fight for what I thought was ours. I kept asking myself, was this just a moment of weakness for her? Was she truly sorry? Or was she just trying to save face? I couldn't tell if I was more hurt or angry, but I knew I had to act. I started digging deeper, looking for more answers, more evidence. I decided to check her phone again just to be sure. I didn't find much new, but I did notice some strange things. She started deleting her messages more often, and her social media activity suddenly got more secretive. I also noticed her heading out more often. She'd say she was meeting a friend, but I knew it wasn't just that. Something was going on, and I needed to catch her in the act. So I set up a little trap, hidden cameras, the whole 9 yards. I wasn't proud of it, but I felt like I needed to see what she was really up to when she thought I wasn't looking. It was a gamble, and it paid off. About 2 nights after I installed the cameras, I saw her sneaking out of the house again, late at night. This time I caught her in the act. She'd gone to the cabin, the same one I'd taken her to just a few weeks ago for a romantic getaway before everything fell apart. I was furious watching her. She was with Mark, no doubt about it. They were in that cabin, kissing, touching, acting like they were the only two people in the world. I couldn't believe my eyes. She'd lied to me for months, hiding this affair right in front of my face, and I was just discovering it now. The footage made me feel sick. I saw her look me right in the eyes during the confrontation, lie about everything, and then turn around and do this. That moment, I felt a surge of rage that I'd never experienced before. How could she do this? How could she betray me like this while I was working so hard to give her a good life? I kept replaying her words. "It's not what you think. It's just sex. I love you," all lies. She didn't love me, not anymore. She didn't care about the vow we made, about the vows we made in front of everyone, to be faithful, loyal, to be a team. She was just using me. That night I sat there, watching her with Mark, feeling every ounce of betrayal flood through me. It was like I was watching my life crumble piece by piece, and I couldn't do anything about it except let that pain wash over me. I started to realize that I had been so blinded by love and trust that I missed all the signs, how she talked about Mark, the way she looked at him, the secret meetings. I had been stupid, thinking I was enough for her when clearly I was. She had been cheating on our kid, on everything we built, while I was out trying to provide for us. That hurt worse than anything else. I decided I couldn't stay silent anymore. I needed to confront her again, face her with what I'd seen, tell her I knew the truth. I wanted her to see what she'd done, how much she'd hurt me, and to finally own up. I knew this would be the turning point. Either she would lie her way out or she would admit everything. Whatever happened next, I was done pretending. I was done being the fool who believed in fairy tales. This was real and it was brutal. But I promised myself I'd find a way to get through it, no matter what. The confrontation that followed was a storm I didn't see coming. I had the footage on my phone, ready to show her, but I also wanted her to finally face the truth without any bullshit. I told her I knew everything about her affair with Mark, the secret meetings, how she had been lying to me for months, even during my pregnancy. Her reaction was classic Lisa, defensive, bitchy, dismissive. She threw her head back, scoffing at me, saying I was overreacting, that I was crazy for jumping to conclusions. She insisted she loved me, that Mark was just a sex thing, that it didn't mean anything. Just a stupid mistake, she said, a moment of weakness. I couldn't believe her. I showed her the footage, and her eyes widened for a split second before she snapped at me. That's not what it looks like, Mike. You're twisting it. You're making it worse than it is. Her voice was cold and angry, like she was trying to justify her actions. She told me Mark was just a friend, that they'd been playing around, but she didn't really love him. She said I was possessive and overreacting, that if I loved her, I'd just forgive her and move on. That was her go-to excuse, move on, like she hadn't just destroyed everything we had. I felt like I was losing my mind. I looked at her, her face contorted with anger and denial, and I realized I'd been a fool to believe she cared. All those moments she said she loved me, all the times she pretended to be committed, she was just playing me. It hit me hard that she'd been lying during my pregnancy, hiding this from me while I was trying to be a good husband and father. That's what hurts the most, knowing she was cheating while we were supposed to be building a family. I thought about my kid, about what kind of mother she was really being, and I felt disgusted. At that moment, I decided I couldn't keep trying to fix this. I told her I was done listening to her lies, that I was leaving. She got even bitchier then, trying to guilt-trip me, saying I was a terrible husband, that I didn't care about her needs, that I was just a workaholic bastard. She screamed, called me names, told me I was overreacting, that she'd never do it again. But I knew better. I knew her words were just more lies. I'd seen her with Mark, and I knew she'd been cheating for months. Nothing she said could change that. The emotional impact hit me hard. I felt humiliated, angry, and mostly heartbroken. She'd taken my trust, shredded it, and threw it in the trash. I'd been so blind, so in love, that I missed all the warning signs. Now I was left with this terrible question. Had she ever really loved me? Or was I just some fool she used and discarded? The worst part was realizing that she'd been hiding her affair during my pregnancy. That she'd been lying to me about everything, hiding her secrets behind a bitchy smirk. I felt like I'd lost a part of myself, like I was waking up from a nightmare that I couldn't escape. But beneath all that pain, I knew I couldn't stay in this toxic situation. I had to make a choice, stay and be betrayed every day, or walk away and try to rebuild what little dignity I had left. Right then, I made up my mind. I told her I was leaving. I packed a bag, said I'd be staying at a friend's house for a while, and she just stood there, furious and silent. I didn't even look back. I just walked out that door, feeling the cold air hit my face and realizing I'd never known her at all. I'd never been truly loved, and that hurt more than I can put into words. The days after I left the house were the hardest I've ever gone through. I felt completely hollow, like my insides had been ripped out. Every moment was a reminder of what I'd lost, the trust, the future I'd envisioned, the innocence I thought we shared. I stayed with a close friend, trying to keep my head clear, but honestly, I was drowning in a sea of questions and regrets. Was I stupid for believing she loved me? Did I ever really know her? And most painfully, did she ever loved me at all, or was I just convenient for her until she found something better? I kept replaying everything, her lies, the sneaking around, the way she dismissed my feelings. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I didn't see her true nature. Every time I thought I was close to feeling numb, memories would flood back, sharp and relentless. My mind kept circling around that one dark truth. She had been cheating during my pregnancy. That thought crushed me every time. How could she do that? How could she betray me so deeply when I was trying to do right by her and the baby? I felt betrayed on every level, like I'd been played for a fool from the start. Part of me wanted to go back to try and fix this, but I knew that wouldn't work. She lied too much, said too many things I now knew were false. I couldn't trust her anymore. I didn't want to be with someone who would betray me like that, someone who could hide her affair for months while I was working myself into the ground. The pain kept gnawing at me, anger, sadness, rage, and a deep sense of betrayal. I couldn't help but wonder if I'd ever truly loved her, or if I had just been fooling myself because I wanted to believe in the fairy tale. Over the next few days, I made a decision. I would confront her one last time, not because I thought I could change her, but because I needed closure. I texted her, told her I was coming back to get my things, and that I wanted to talk. When I saw her again, she was her usual bitchy self, trying to act like she didn't care, like I was some inconvenience. But I could see the guilt behind her eyes. The moment I stood in front of her, I knew this was the end of the line. No more lies, no more pretending. I had to hear her admit it, or at least own up to what she'd done. I laid everything out, my discovery of the affair, the footage from the cabin, the months of lies. I saw her squirm, her usual defiance giving way to a flicker of guilt. She denied everything at first, claiming I was crazy, that Mark was just a friend, that I was overreacting because I was insecure, but I wasn't buying it. I showed her the evidence again, and her face darkened. She tried to manipulate me, twisting words, saying I was accusing her for no reason, that she still loved me and the baby, and that everything was a mistake, that she'd never do it again. That last part I knew was a lie. I looked at her, and all I could feel was disgust. Her words were hollow, empty. I wanted to believe she was remorseful, but deep down I knew she didn't care. She was just trying to save her own ass. I told her I was done. Done with her lies, her manipulations, her betrayal. I told her I didn't want her anymore. Not as a wife, not as a partner, not as a mother. I needed to walk away, to start healing, even if it meant leaving everything behind. Walking out that door for the final time was like tearing off a bandage I'd been holding onto for too long. The pain was sharp, but I knew I had to do it. I couldn't keep living in the shadow of her lies. I felt so many conflicting emotions, anger at her, heartbreak for what I lost, but also a strange sense of relief. I realized that I was better off without someone who could lie so easily, who could hide such a big part of herself from me. Sometimes, it's better to walk away and rebuild yourself from the ground up than stay in a relationship full of lies and betrayal. Now, I'm just trying to put the pieces back together. It's not easy, and I know I'll probably carry some scars for a long time. But I've learned a lot about trust, about love, and about the importance of honesty. If there's one thing I want anyone reading this to take away, it's that you can't ignore the signs. If someone is hiding things, lying, sneaking around, pay attention. Because someday it'll all come out, and the pain might be worse than you ever imagined. I wish I'd seen it sooner, but at least now I know the truth. Since walking away, I've felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. It's like I finally took off the blindfold, but now I'm left with a brutal reality. The betrayal cut deeper than I ever thought possible. I can't lie, there are nights I still wake up thinking about her, about what I missed, about the years I spent trying to be everything she wanted. But I also realize that staying would have meant living a lie, pretending the woman I loved was still inside that manipulative, bitchy mask she always wore. I've started seeing a counselor, trying to process everything. It's painful but necessary. I've learned that love isn't enough when the foundation is built on lies. Trust, respect, honesty, those are the real pillars of any relationship. She shattered all of them. And honestly, I don't think she ever loved me. Not truly. Maybe she loved the idea of being loved or what I provided, but not me. That realization hurts, but in a strange way, it's freeing. Looking back, I see all the red flags I ignored. Her secretive nature, her quick temper, the way she'd brush things off when I questioned her. I wish I'd trusted my gut more. I wish I hadn't been so blinded by love, or maybe by the hope that things would get better. But now I know better. I know that some betrayals are so deep, so complete that they can't be fixed. And maybe that's okay. Maybe it's better to walk away than to keep pretending everything's fine. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, I want to say, listen to your instincts. Don't ignore the signs, no matter how much you love someone. Because when the truth finally comes out, whether it's through evidence, a gut feeling, or a mistake, you'll wish you hadn't waited so long. Trust is fragile, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to repair. But you can rebuild yourself. You can find strength in the aftermath of betrayal. I'm still healing, still figuring out what my future looks like without her, but I know now that I deserve honesty, loyalty, and respect. I don't need someone who's going to lie to me or betray me during one of the most vulnerable times in my life. I still hope to find happiness again, maybe someday with someone who truly values me, who loves me for who I am, not what I can give. Until then, I'll take it one day at a time, trying to learn from the heartbreak and move forward. Because life goes on, and somehow I know I'll be okay.